Welcome to Lisa's Family Table. We're so excited to have you here today. Today, we're going to cook on the grill outside a Coulotte steak. You're probably wondering, what is a Coulotte steak? It's the top sirloin of the cow, also known as a picanha. If you've ever gone to a Brazilian steakhouse, it's one of the cuts they bring out on the big skewers. It's not a well-known cut, and my goal is to make it more known. When I first started to decide to cook it, I thought, well, I'm going to sous vide it, I'm going to have to tenderize it. But as soon as I opened it and realized how incredibly tender this was, it doesn't need anything. It just needs a little bit of LSR and a little bit of love on the grill. And I'm going to make some chimichurri to keep with the Brazilian theme of the cut. But this came from our local meat purveyor here in Memphis, Claybrook Farms. And it's just a beautiful cut. Now I've brought this to room temperature for an hour and it's in a cryovac bag here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And I'm being careful to not mess it up, so I'm cutting it on the fat side because I'm going to trim some of that fat back. But I'm going to pull this out, put it on my paper towel, and I'm going to, just kind of pat this dry some. You always hear cut against the grain, cut against the grain. Well, we're going to cut with the grain on this one. And the reason for that is because we're going to cut steaks with it. So when you eat the steaks that we cut, you'll be cutting against the grain at that point. So let's take a look at this. It really is a beautiful cut of steak. And the thing I love about this too, you can see it's sizable. And this would serve your whole family very affordably. And you can see it is, I wish you could see how tender it is. We've got to square it up and do a couple things to it. On the top here, we have some silver skin. That's not going to be delicious. So we're going to get rid of that. So we want to get our knife under there and find an opening so we can start pulling that silver skin off. And just kind of push your knife up against that silver skin just to get it off. If you're in Memphis, you can get this from Claybrook Farm at the farmer's market. You can also go online to Butcher Shop. They sell this as well and order it for delivery. They will cut it for you in the steaks and do this for you. But I just wanted you to see the process because it really isn't that hard. And I really like the idea of just buying the whole piece of meat. Now you're going to see when we cut the steaks that they're not going to all be even. So we'll have to take consideration for cooking temps when we cook it on the grill. I'm squaring this off for the grill, cleaning up these little rough edges. Get this little piece of fat here. If you don't want to eat it, get rid of it, right? So it's kind of a rule of thumb, but you don't want to just completely obliterate the steak. So a couple more little pieces of silver skin. And you can see the silver skin is shiny. And when you pull on it, you can tell it feels tough. So you're not going to want to eat that. So the rest of this looks great. Now, you can see it's got this beautiful fat cap. And I will tell you this is going to melt and flame up. But we're not going to cut it right now because there's no way to cut it and get it even. I'll show you how to fix that. I'm just squaring this up here. All right, so now I'm going to look at my steak here. And here's my grain. It's going this way. So I'm going to cut steaks like that. So I'm going to come over here. All right, so I kind of like to go with 2 fingers. My fingers are going to be different sizes of yours, but I want a good sized steak. Because remember, when I put this on the grill, I want it to have thickness to it so that I can still get a good sear on it. So I want to cut it. It looks like about 2 inches I'm going for. I'm trying to cut with the grain and just try to get it as even as you can get it. Okay, steak 1. And I want to show you. Now, if you look at this, you'll see the fat cap isn't even. So this is where you even up that fat cap. I'm just looking for 1/4 inch around it. I don't want more than that. But you don't want to take it off either because that's flavor. And this is really a soft fat. So when it goes on the grill, it's really going to melt and it's going to make the steak even more tender. So let's just even it up. It's all you're looking for. I made this the other day for my neighbors and I took it over and they said it's the best steak I've ever made, which is a huge compliment given that I won $100,000 for a steak I made. So this is a delicious steak and I really do hope you'll try it. Okay, so that's the steak. I've squared it up and I'm going to cut the others now. So that's that. Now we just go through. Now the rest of it's the same. So you just kind of want to be about the same. You can kind of use it as a guide. Same size with the grain. Okay. This one's pretty even. And I'm going to square that little piece up there. Okay. We're just going to put LSR on both sides and we're going to let it rest and we're going to grill it. This is so simple. And you can even make it simpler if you buy the steaks already cut. And be liberal. This rub is so balanced. It's not going to be over salty. It's got all kinds of umami in it. It's got roasted garlic. It's got black garlic. It's got some paprika, salt and pepper. It's going to be delicious. And I'll be using my grill grates today. I love the grill grates, not only just because they give me beautiful grill marks, but they also give you an added protective covering from the grill. So that's it. Those are ready, and we're going to put those to rest. And now I just want to show you how we're going to make an easy chimichurri sauce. I've already made it, but let me just kind of walk you through the steps. It's basically an herby dressing, and it just is delicious with this cut of meat. I took a half a cup of cilantro, finely diced, quarter cup of finely diced parsley, 4 or 5 garlic cloves that I finely minced. You can also put them through your garlic crusher. I did some red pepper flakes. I used about a teaspoon of that. I did about 1/3 cup of red wine vinegar and 1/2 cup of olive oil. And I did some paprika in here and of course salt to taste. It's just really, herby. Oh, I forgot, I put a shallot in it too. And it's very herby. It's super fragrant. You're gonna love it on the steak. Earlier, we showed you how to prep our Coulotte steak, and now we've moved outside to our grill. We've got it at a good hot temperature, and of course we have our grill grates on it. I personally will not cook a steak outside on the grill or even grill a pizza without the grill grates. Number one, it gives you those beautiful grill marks you're gonna see, but also it gives you that added protection between you and the grill. We've set up the grill in 2-zone cooking because we're gonna cook these with 4 minute 25 turns, and then we're gonna put it up on the rack and we're gonna finish it at 128 degrees. So we're gonna have a probe in it. So I'm gonna use this time stack. I've got 4 for 1:25. You saw that we cut those pretty thick, about 2 inches. I'm doing 10 and 2. You can see those grill marks are coming. We're gonna really have to keep our eyes on the smaller steak. We may only get a few turns out of that before we have to adjust it. We're trying to get good grill marks. We want the right level of doneness. We want to get it up on the rack and get some butter on it. And I want to show you to plate it with that beautiful chimichurri that we made earlier today. So I'm going to do a call out to Brad at Grill Grates. Brad, I hope I'm doing you proud. I'd never want to disappoint you on my cooking. Look at even my little baby piece is so pretty. We're going to do 1 turn on this and we're going to move it over here. Cooking is such an intuitive thing. It's not something that, baking is more of a science. You have to weigh the ingredients. It has to be very exact. Cooking is more feel, intuition, adjusting. I think that's why learning how to cook, and honestly, the reason our spices are so important. If I have to say anything good came out of COVID, I think families having more time at home is so valuable. That time spent at the dinner table with your family, and I don't know if anybody's ever had a teenager where when they come home, how was your day? You get one grunty answer. I think the more you sit at the table and you eat, the more you come together as a family. So I just encourage you to do so. Now this steak here, I'm going to temp it, but I'm going to put it over here. I can feel it. And so I'm going to move this over here. I want to get a little butter on these before I shut it, Rick. Put this over here. And honestly, I don't like to brush. I like to sort of dab because I've spent all that time getting that seasoning on there. And you got to be careful not to put too much because you're going to get flame ups, and I'm getting a little bit right now. Before I shut it, I want to do a temp, see where I'm at. I want to make sure I don't overcook these. My little one, I'm at the risk of that because it's so small, but let me test it. I'm okay there. I'm better than I expected. I'm at 111. That's good. That's nice. Perfect. We're temping at about 100. I need a different probe. Rick's going to grab it for me. Okay. And I'm going to pull these up. As I mentioned, the smaller piece, we just have to give it a little more love than the others. I'm going to put it over here. I feel like it's ready. I'm going to get my little rack. Thank you, Rick, so much. Okay, let me situate these. They really are pretty. Okay, then let me adjust the rack. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to put some butter. Okay. One of the things that I forgot to do, I'm going to take these down here and put a little sear on that fat cap. Let me do that real quick. That may get me where I need to be. Remember we talked about the fat cap? See, that's so fat. But that fat on this thing is so buttery. You can see how that's kind of searing up a little bit right there. That's what you want to see. The other side we can sear it a little bit, but it's not nearly as important as that fat. Or there. So we just temped it. It was 128. So that time that we spent on the fat cap got us where we wanted to be. Okay, so we're going to pull these. I think we're there. And that's why I said cooking is so much more intuition than baking, which is a greater science. And you can't really see it, but there's a pretty good flame going under here. It's pretty hot. Hey, Rick, let's temp it and tell them how hot it is. It's pretty hot right now. So we're at 650. We're 650 right now. So it really has increased in temperature. So we're going to take this down, close this up. I've taken them off the grill at 128. I've got the foil on it, and I'm allowing it to rest. And I'm looking for about 7 to 10 minutes on the rest, and then we're going to cut these. So our steak has rested, and let's take a peek at our handiwork. Okay, so you can see we've got this beautiful fat cap here, and it's done its magic. I'm cutting that off because we don't really want to eat that. And there's not much. There was a 1/4 inch. If you recall, when we trimmed these, there wasn't much. This is so tender, it's almost like a filet. I think that was the piece that was so surprising to me. So we're going to cut this. And you can look, we've got beautiful grill marks. What's the big reveal? Absolutely beautiful. And you can see this is just absolutely gorgeous. Let me show you how I would plate this. I'm going to take some of this chimichurri and I'm going to just drizzle it down the center. And so this is how I would plate it. I've got the chimichurri on it. It's beautiful. I can taste the beef. The steak rub is a perfect balance on it. Having the herb chimichurri on it is a good offset. It's incredibly tender. It's like a filet. I mean, I really can't stop eating. It's so good. Delicious. Oh my God. This is my new favorite steak. I think once you cook it, it will be yours too. Enjoy.